Hello again to another special edition of Retail Week. I'm Eric Sfiligoj, the editor of CropLife magazine, and I have a special guest with me here today, John Frieden from Wilbur-Ellis, who was kind enough to visit us today to talk about adjuvants and NPEs. So John, thank you for joining us today. My first question to you is, can you tell us a little bit about NPEs and why they are an issue in the marketplace right now?
Sure, thank you. NPEs, that's an acronym for a chemistry class called nonylphenol ethoxlates. They're a very common ingredient in pesticide products. They're also a very common product, or used to be a very common product in personal care items like laundry detergent and other kinds of soap. They're, in essence, NPEs is a chemistry that makes water wetter. It makes adjuvancy in products. The issue is, some years ago, 10 to 15 years ago, the EPA and other global regulatory bodies determined that NPEs are endocrine disruptors. That is, they mimic the effect of products that, in essence, can be accelerators for the growth of tumors. They don't necessarily cause tumors, but they accelerate the growth of tumors in humans and warm-blooded animals. So the NPEs then became a target of regulatory globally, and in fact about 12 years ago the European Union banned all forms of NPEs in both personal care and agricultural products. The U.S. EPA has not done that. They've done quite a bit of testing and observation over the years, and during that period of time, over the last 12 years, the personal care industry in the United States, the manufacturers themselves, have voluntarily moved away from NPEs. They've moved to other chemistries. The ag industry to this point has not moved away from NPEs, and to this point the EPA has not taken any action to seriously restrict the use of NPEs. At Wilbur-Ellis, we decided roughly 7 years ago to identify all of the brands of our personal brands that contain NPEs, and then to work from a scientific perspective to replace those NPEs. And we've accomplished that, and we're beginning to introduce the first of our products that are NPE-free in 2015. Our goal was to not only eliminate the NPE chemistry, but to do so with replacement chemistry that, in addition to being NPE-free, also has a very favorable aquatic profile. That is, they could be registered for aquatic use, very safe to aquatic organisms, fish and crustaceans, and also to maintain a high level of performance. We didn't move to chemistries unless they were equal or greater in biological performance to the products they were replacing. Obviously we wanted something that was very safe from an acute toxicity standpoint. So those were the pillars of the research that we went into to develop our new Eco Advantage line of adjuvants.
Okay. And I understand you mentioned the EPA has not banned them yet, but you just came back from a trip to Washington. Can you enlighten us a little bit about what was discussed with EPA there?
I did, thanks. Basically, I went to try and bring them up to speed on what we were doing, and then also to get a review from the EPA as to what their proposed actions were going to be around NPEs. And what I found basically is that the EPA is very actively looking at ways to restrict the use and the growth of NPEs in agriculture in the future, and exploring ways to restrict the use of NPEs in agriculture even more. So that's kind of where we are. The EPA was very complimentary of where we are at Wilbur-Ellis in terms of replacing NPEs from our portfolio, and we're going to proceed.
Okay. Well, John, I thank you very much for being with us for this edition of Retail Week. We'll be following the topic of NPEs in print and online going in the future. And again, we'll probably be using you as a source down the line. So thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for having me.